Hey everybody, and welcome to the Anime Club with your hosts Josh Sanchez and Isaiah Goins. And also we got a special guest, Aaron. He's a Pokemon expert, and we're gonna have some fun, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good, Josh. It's a Saturday day. No work today. Just wanted to talk about anime and all that fun stuff like usual. And I'm like excited to get started. I love Pokemon.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm doing real good too. I was actually just finishing up Billion Diamonds, so real fresh in my brain.
Yeah, I will say, man, it is the weekend, and there's something about recording a podcast on a Saturday. It's just great. We're gonna have some great conversation when it comes to this one. So I know for the topics, I know we all discussed beforehand. I honestly think we'll start the whole podcast off with talking about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Aaron, if you would like to get started, I know you just beat the game. How do you feel about it overall?
I mean, I feel like in terms of difference, there wasn't much different, but what was different was like enough for me. Like the underground, I love the underground. It on its own, like for a second, I just forgot that the game even existed. I just went to like find out how to get to every single part of that underground. You know, Seeing Pokemon roam around wasn't new. We had that in Sun and Moon. Not Sun and Moon, excuse me. Sword and Shield, but um, it was I don't know. It was still exciting to see them reformat the roaming element in a different way. So, um, and then having your Pokemon follow you, I'm glad they brought that back. Like those two those two changes are like enough to I don't know make the remakes well worth it for me.
Isaiah, anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was not actually allowed to play Pokemon or any video games in general. So like my first console was like a Wii or something. So it was fun to almost like experience this for like the first time. I played through the game when I was at my neighbor's house. I used to go on vacation with them and steal their DS, and they would let me just play the whole thing. I would binge it in like a night. So it was fun to actually be able to take my time. I'm not done yet because I'm on my way to the ice gym, and you have to go through all these caves, and I hate caves, and I'm a huge procrastinator.
Yes.
So I've been doing that on the stream, but no, I've had a fun time with it. It's cool, and I like the fact that you can customize your character still and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to add, you guys both made really great points. I know Aaron, you mentioned a lot about the underground, and Isaiah, I know you mentioned with the characterization of like your character and stuff. I mean, from someone that's played Pokemon probably ever since like Red, Blue, all the way in the advanced Game Boy, those old games, one of the things that was really lacking was like that customization of the character. Like you were either just a white dude or a white girl, So like it was cool to see more options available for people. And just to add to your point, Aaron, as well, when you mentioned about the underground, I'm just like you when it comes to that. Like I completely like stopped playing the game and checked the gym badges. I was just underground, just trying to see all the other Pokemon I can catch. Just like you, I was just running around the underground, man. I'm like, yo, this is so cool. I'm trying to get all the Doug trio because you get those like little crystals points,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you got to get 40 of them to get something. I also know that if you can talk to the people underground as well, like that can get you. I forget what the Pokemon name is. It's like the portal
Spiritomb,
one.
right? Or isn't it Spiritomb? Or
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, yes,
yeah,
Spiritomb. Yeah, thank you,
yeah.
Aaron. I know you got my back on that one. But yeah, because depending on who you talk to, you can get him and stuff like that too. So I was underground probably for like 2 days straight. Like I like by the time I went up, like my Pokemon were already like Elite Four ready. So I was like, all right, like gym- these gym leaders are light work. But yeah, like even when you beat the game, just adding more to it when it comes to the underground. All of like the Gen 3 starters, Gen 2 and Gen 1 are also underground as well. So once you beat the Elite Four and then you get the national deck, so you have to complete the beginning decks first. Then all the other starters, now they don't have like secret abilities or anything. They're pretty just like they're the old school starters, but they're also down there too, and they respawn. And I will say, like, just continuing this conversation, I know Aaron, I know you mentioned a lot about the underground. Like, what specifically about the underground do you really like? And then Isaiah, anything else you would like to add to just continuing the underground convo?
Yeah. I just didn't expect it to be that big. So I played the original Diamond and Pearl when it came out. That was when I got the DS. I still remember my pink DS. I was so excited. Got it for Christmas. And the Underground, I didn't like it back then. It felt very lacking to me, and like I was just like it was like an afterthought to me. Like, oh yeah, that was a cute idea, but I'd rather just play the game. But this time around, it was like I just want to explore the underground. Like it was so massive, way bigger than I thought it was. Like the way that the game is designed, graphic wise, like I just stylistically, I didn't expect them to really go above and beyond with the underground. But yeah, I just enjoyed how massive it was, and how hard the Pokemon are to catch down there. I don't know if it was just me, but I mean, a Pokemon would take like 12 Pokeballs for me to catch one, sometimes 20, and it was like really frustrating. But it was like I also enjoyed the challenge.
For me, I was like I said, having this is really like my first official playthrough. So first of all, I enjoyed the fact that you're not just walking in straight lines. So I can roam and do all the stuff I want. I can avoid Pokemon. But I have always been one of those weird craze fans that are into like the fossil Pokemon. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the underground where you're just like looking for fossils and everything. I got a shield on and I was like, oh, I'm so hyped to use this thing. But then it's like level 1. So I'm like, back into the box you go. But I really did like the underground for my first experience with it, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and just to add too, like when it came to the underground, like with the original stuff, I mean, it was cool a little bit, but like it's not the same as it was now.
Mhm.
Like just like I'm very similar to Aaron when it comes to like the old game. Like I would go in underground just to get like the fossil Pokemon, Isaiah, like to get like the Sheldon and get the other Pokemon too. I was just like, oh snap, like this is really cool. But I mean, other than that, and unless you want to get some like cool crystals or something, that's pretty much it when it came to underground. But with this game, like literally, like I was just trying to see like all the question marks. I was trying to hit all the question rooms and trying to figure out like
Yeah.
which ones were there. And I also really like the idea, especially because we got to remember with the old games, there was no fairy type. So like adding the fairy type to like the old school game definitely like added a little more kick to that. And I know continuing our podcast, we'll talk about the types a little bit too and get into that. But yeah, like just the underground, like just completely just getting lost in the moment, just running around the rooms and just seeing all the Pokemon spawn up. Like that's how I end up getting my Magna Zone because I got a Magnemite down there. And I was like, yeah, I got to get it. And just to add to your point, Aaron, I know you mentioned like some Pokemon they took like 12 balls to catch. Yeah, I remember that. And then how I countered that was I leveled up my Pokemon. So you got to make sure that your Pokemon's level is higher than the Pokemon you're catching, or else you're going to be spending like
Yes.
forever doing it. And that is something I had to learn and I had to figure out as I was playing the game and stuff. But my next question, just before we wrap all this up, when it comes to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, where would you guys rank this amongst all the other Pokemon games? If you had a good comparison, what would it be?
I mean, personally, it feels basically the same as that game. It's just with some minor upgrades when it comes to like graphics, walking. It's not buggy. It's literally the same game, so it's like you can't really go wrong with anything. They give you a free Mew, free Jirachi if you have the previous games and all that stuff. So honestly, exactly where you put the original Diamond and Pearl, but like a spot above, just because of the extra features. If I'm just being honest with you.
Yep. Aaron,
Yeah.
would you like that?
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like wherever I put Diamond and Pearl, and then just like right above that, because of that, it feels exactly the same. Stylistically, it's prettier to look at, naturally, and then the bonus features, and then also the Jirachi. Jirachi was on my team for a minute, and I decided to put it in. It was hard to let go because I was really enjoying that Jirachi, but I was like, I really don't want to use a legendary Pokemon or mystic Pokemon. So But that Jirachi definitely makes it above Diamond Girl.
And I just have one other question that just came off the top of my mind when it comes to like this region, like the Sinnoh region. I know Legend of Arceus is also going to take place during the Sinnoh region as well. When it comes to the Sinnoh region overall and its impact, how do you guys like overall just like view on the Sinnoh region in general? Because for me personally, I definitely think it's up there as one of the most influential regions. I know it also took place in like the higher point, I believe, of Japan. They was supposed to like take place around that area in the region. I don't know for the exact, so don't quote me on it. But where would you guys rank in Sinnoh's like overall impact of Pokemon?
It definitely has some of my favorite Pokemon, style wise. I'm a huge Drapion fan. My favorite Pokemon is Apom and Ambipom. It's got the starters are awesome too. I had a hard time even choosing the starter. I was like, Aaron was there actually when I first started. I was like, Aaron, what Pokemon should I pick? I was like, I don't know because they're all good. So they have a lot of good designs. I think the storyline is fun. When you got the whole team, it's Galactic, I believe. Yeah, you're going against all of them. The legendaries, Dialga and Palkia are great. It's a great game overall. And I think it would be up there in terms of impact. I just love everything in terms of Pokemon. The story after you get through the beginning isn't too long with dialogue and all that stuff, and they let you get through everything. I just wish there were less caves. I hate caves. But yeah, it's a pretty good game.
I feel you on the caves. I was telling my friend a couple weeks ago when the game first came out how much I hate caves. I just like I don't know something about them. I just like I get very down the longer I'm in a cave. So like I try to rush through caves because like the longer I'm in there, the more frustrated I get. But Sinnoh, for the longest, it was my favorite region. It's just like I mean, even now, still, even though it's not my favorite region anymore, but like, still think about it, like I can't think of a single thing I don't like about the region in terms of characters, Pokemon, gym leaders, the towns. It's just the Elite Four, Cynthia, like she deserves her own category. Like I just feel like everything about Gen 4 Sinnoh, um, it's just like if not perfect, very close to perfect. And I think it shows with the reception that it receives. Like people have been asking for a Sinnoh remake before we even got like 3 and 2. Like like people have wanted a Sinnoh remake for a very long time, and that's just because they hit the mark everywhere. And then all 3 starters, like Isaiah said, are like really good. I've used all 3 multiple times.
And I also don't mind the Pokemon contest. I forgot to say that. I actually
Yeah.
don't mind those. I think those are cool.
Yeah, now I know you guys had a tough choice with starters. For me, I always go Turtwig. That's for me. That's my lock.
All 3 of us picked starters because I got Piplup and then he got Chimchar.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was like, okay, let's see, yeah, because I just love that grass and ground type combination of Torterra.
Oh yeah,
that's just me. I've always been a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to like Sinnoh region talk, I mean, are you guys ready to transition to the types, or is there anything else that you guys really would like to add?
The last thing I will add, this is the first game ever that I took the liberty to actually be patient and train all my Pokemon equally. I usually just steamroll with my starter, and then some come along, some don't. I caught 2 Pokemon I thought I would never catch, which is an Abra and a Geodude, and I trained them to full capacity, and I'm very proud of myself. I have a Golem. I never thought I would catch a rock type, but I caught one. Very proud of it. I just wanted to say that. But that's all I have to say.
I'll say I really liked when I chose my character skin tone that the mom also had my skin tone.
Yeah.
Nice touch, and then yeah, I also did a similar vein as Isaiah. I caught Pokemon that I typically don't use. I mean, Steelix is like one of my favorite Pokemon ever, but I've never used Steelix on the team before. And so just catching Pokemon that I giving the love to other Pokemon, not using a Luxray like everyone else, or everyone else.
That part.
Or Milotic like everyone else. I was trying to, force myself to step out of the box. Because it's so easy to pick those star Pokemon.
Like everyone wants a challenge. Nobody wants to use the same Pokemon every game.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
hey, you gotta
yeah.
challenge yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, similar to you guys. I mean, other than like obviously Starly, I mean, the ones around, I kind of waited for this year. Also, when it comes to like Diamond and Pearl, there's always I love Goodbye, I love Garchomp. So like going into that, I know you guys don't like caves, but going into that one cave, that's the only cave. Like I'll go in there and I'll just spend like an hour just trying to catch Gibble. Because Gilble can stay in there. And if people that don't know the cave, I know it's like under like the bridge past like the city begins with an E. I think it's like Eterna City or something like that. Yeah. It's like you go down the cycling path and there's like a little secret hidden tunnel that all you need is strength to get in. And once you're in, you can catch Gabite, and that's how you get Garchomp. So I mean, that's just a little tip there for you guys there. But for me, I've always loved Garchomp. He's always been on my teams, and but like you guys, like going outside the box when it comes to like catching other Pokemon. So it's always been good and stuff. I know everybody loves Luxray on I don't know why. I've always been a Magnemite fan. He's my favorite electric type.
Really?
So, and we'll get into types next, and honestly, for our next topic. So, I mean,
I want one last thing.
Of course, you got it.
Well, first of all, side note, I have a mischievous, and I'm very happy that I'm patient to get that Dustoon because you gotta wait forever. But I got 2 complaints with this game. Actually, one, there's like no fire types available. I'm tired of just seeing Ponyta. I'm tired of in the starter like Chimchar. There's like barely any fire types in this game. It's horrible. I need more fire types because like what the Anyway, the second thing, and I feel like this needs to be implemented immediately. The trading system that if you want to evolve certain Pokemon, you have to trade them. That needs to be scrapped. I hate it so much. I feel bad for people who don't have anyone to trade with. Because like, all right, I can like Alakazam, Golem, all these Pokemon that I've always avoided. I've avoided them because I don't like the whole idea of you have to trade with someone. I have people to trade with now, so it's no problem. But it's like it doesn't feel rewarding. Because so I could have got the Golem a long time ago. I'm like, no, I'm gonna stick with the Groundlander for a while and actually feel like I'm leveling up. And then when I feel like it's ready, then I'll evolve it. And it feels more rewarding. That's why I like the regular evolution system. Because once you're working to a number, and that gives you incentives to use them. If there's no incentive, you can just get the Alakazam at like level 10. What the hell do I need to keep training this thing for? I don't care. So it's like I think they need to change that to something else because I don't like it. I just had to get that ran off before I forgot about it. But that's the last thing I have to talk about the game.
on that same vein about evolutions, it's not the exact same, but I wanted Dusknoir, but I couldn't get him until post game, and so I think they should also stop limiting evolutions of Pokemon you can get during the game to post game. Like if I can get the pre-evolution during the game, I should be able to get the evolution while still playing the game. Like I shouldn't have to beat the Elite Four to get the Pokemon. So those 2 things I definitely think need to change.
Yeah, I agree. And also like I know for me, like I play a lot of the old school games on my laptop, and I ended up like creating like a mode where like you don't have to trade to evolve your Pokemon and stuff. And Isaiah, to answer your question, I know the counter for that, I mean, could be like level 37. I know for a lot of like for Gravelier, I know for Kadabra to Alakazam, it's 37. So I mean that could be a good level for Pokemon that need to be traded to like level up so that way they can evolve in the final form. Because I agree with you. Like if you don't know people that don't want to trade, you're kind of screwed. And also I agree with your point too, Aaron, when it comes to like post game, how come I can get the pre-evolution before I can get the fully evolved version? I have to beat the game to get that. It's kind of whack. But I agree with both your points when it comes to that. And I definitely think that this game being just a remake, it's just like, all right, like we'll just expand the underground, but then everything else is just like we'll make the designs a lot better. And everyone's been talking about Gen 4 remakes forever, so let's give them a Gen 4 remake. And I know the creators of this game are also the same creators that created Pokemon Home.
Got
So
it.
a lot of the designs you see at Pokemon Home, it kind of makes a lot of sense. So I was like, oh snap, but this is really cool. But yeah, just to add to both your points, I definitely agree. Maybe with this new game, because I don't know how you're going to trade in Legend of Arceus of the Pokemon you catch.
I don't either.
Yeah, maybe that one can be a good little start to the next gen of Pokemon, but we just have to wait and see.
I mean, I have a theory about that. I'm starting to think that I don't know if you know what Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is, but it's like I feel like that game is going to be just like that a little bit. So I'm not expecting a regular Pokemon game. Real quick, I brought the Pokemon Legend himself, Jake, by the way, here. Yeah, what's up, Jake? We're just talking about Pokemon. But yeah, I don't expect that game necessarily to be like the other Pokemon games. Actually, I think it's going to be some story driven thing, and it's going to just evolve a lot of new mechanics that we haven't seen before. So I mean, that's just a thought. I don't know, obviously.
I mean that new trailer. I don't know if y'all watched it. That came out yesterday. It's like 6 minutes. I mean, it really shows off like all these different mechanics that we're gonna be operating in. That I'm like really stoked about.
Okay, Jake. Before we go to the next thing, do you have any opinions on the new Pokemon Shining Pearl in Brilliant Diamond games?
I love when the Pokemon Company takes a risk, and tries something new, and I think they did the exact opposite with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I don't think they're bad games by any means. I just don't see a purpose for them. If you're going to remake a game, implement it, update it. It's why I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver are such perfect games, because they took on the original game and elaborated and built on them, as Brilliant and Shining Pearl made everything look pretty, but didn't really add too much new.
It definitely does feel like you're just slapping like a new like sticker on something. I'm not going cap, but yeah. Josh, but did you have anything else, Josh?
No, I mean, when it came to that in general, that whole topic, I feel like we pretty much hit everything there when it came to Pokemon Diamond and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But now transition a little bit. I know for our big topic of today's podcast, I want to know how you guys are all feeling when it comes to Pokemon types. So we're gonna do a little ranking when it comes to that. So Isaiah, I'm gonna ask my question for you. When it comes to these rankings, how would and everybody else here, how would you guys like to do these rankings based off of like strength overall? How would you guys want to rank all these Pokemon types?
I think it's a hint of favoritism, and then a hint of what you tend to use on a regular basis. Honestly, I know at least with me specifically, like in Sword and Shield, like I was very biased with a lot of the Pokemon I would use. I was like, this comp isn't naturally good, but I'm like, I like them, so I don't care. So it really just depends on personal preference at the end of the day.
Jake, Aaron, anything else you guys would like to add?
I think for me, favoritism is definitely the biggest. Strength is probably not much of a consideration for me. I'm not a competitor. I don't do competitive Pokemon battling. I mean, I was just saying, like, half my team was weak against Cynthia's team. Like, I'm not considering type advantages or disadvantages. It's, do I like the Pokemon? Do I like this type? So yeah, I think most is like, how many Pokemon do I typically like in this type? Do I like the designs? Usually, it's probably what's going to go into my thinking.
I'm a huge nerd. So like I imagine like if I'm Ash Ketchum and I'm like traveling the region, who do I want to be my traveling companions? So strength isn't really in my personal mindset of ranking. But I really think that Aaron and Isaiah kind of hit the nail on the head with what I'm looking for as well.
All right, sounds good to me. So we'll just do the rankings based off of that. And Isaiah, I know when it comes to rankings, you're the one that usually is very good at introducing it. So I'll give you the keys when it comes to that.
All right. So I'm going to screen share it now. Boom. Okay. So, basically, as y'all can see, here's all the types, and like usual, is ranked from S to F. S signifying the best, and F signifying the worst. Blah. No one likes F. So with that being said, the first one here, I'll scroll down so you guys can see them, is bug type. How do we feel about bug type, Josh? Since you haven't been able to give your input, how do you feel about bug type?
So bug types, they're definitely interesting. I mean, in terms of like bug itself, it's really not. I've never really been a big bug type, except like Heracross, because I know he's bug and fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of like bug itself, there's no real like bug types that I really like. Really like the bug types that I do like usually are like dual and have something else to it. And I think that's a good point to add when it comes to that. So overall with bug, I honestly don't really have a preference for it. I would put it at D. But we'll see how you guys are feeling when it comes to bug types.
How about
I
you, Aaron?
feel I feel almost the opposite of you. Now, do I typically use bug type? No, but that's just because I like a lot of the Pokemon a lot more. Like I see Joltik, I see let me see. Oh, I'm forgetting. What's it called? Um, the water bug,
Surskit.
yeah, Surskit, Fortress, Combi. I like Crustle. That's my favorite one. Like I like a lot of these Pokemon a lot design wise, but I don't typically use them.
Oops.
So I would
There you go.
say, in terms of usability, maybe C, but design wise, they would be B for me.
How about you, Jake?
I lean more towards the C tier, because I do think bugs in every game have uses. I mean, they're definitely what you level up on most of the time. Think Viridian Forest, you know, I'm killing so many Weedles that I'm gonna be on PETA's list pretty soon. So but then you look at some designs like Caesar, Yanma, Yanmega, Shuckle, and you're like, those are some dope Pokemon. And one thing I also take into account is there, I believe, other than Ultra Beasts, there is only one legendary bug type Pokemon, and that's Genesect, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that plays a little role into it. So I would go into the C tier, B if I'm feeling super generous, or D if I'm in a bad mood.
um, I've never caught a bug type Pokemon in my life. The only one I've ever wanted to catch, and I've never found it, was a Scizor or a Scyther or a Haircross. And it kind of hurts my feelings. Let me just take a double look real quick. Yeah, it's sick because like they have some cool ones. Like I even like Fortune. Like I love a lot of these Pokemon, but I
Yeah.
just never catch them. Yamega's also dope, by the way. Actually, you know what? Let me stop because I love Drapion. I have caught Drapion. But I don't. I've grown to appreciate them over the years, and I think Genesect is also a dope legendary. I also want to throw that in, but they've grown on me recently, so I'm going to say C with the others. I was with you, Josh, at Trash at one point in time, but I've changed over the years, so I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I got you. And the only point I would just like to add when it comes to bug type, I'm talking about bug like just specifically. Like a lot of the Pokemon that we've mentioned have like that dual threat to it. So like Vikavolt, I know that's like a good one. That one is a electric and bug type, so like that adds that electric feel to it. But like strictly just bug, like I'm just like, you know what I mean? But like the cool bug types have like that dual type to it. So that's the only point that I just wanted to add when it comes to bug type.
as you should. All right, Aaron, how do we feel about dark types here?
I do not like Dark type. I think it's honestly one of the most boring types. Now, with that being said, there are a few exceptions in Dark. Like I am a huge Zoroark fan. I love Zoroark. I love Sableye. Like I love those. Crafty. But for the most part, I don't choose. I don't have a Dark type on my team. I think out of all the gens, I've only had a Dark type Pokemon twice. Weavile recently on Brilliant Diamond, and then I always have Sableye on my team. Um, Other than that, I typically don't have a dark type Pokemon on my team. So for me, and these designs are all kind of similar, so it's kind of boring to look at together. So for me, it'd be D.
How about you, Jake? Do you feel the same as Aaron, or you feel differently?
I am pretty low on dark types. In Japan, actually, it's not dark type, it's evil type, and I've always
Oh,
found that super fascinating that they would change the name. Because if you look at the first few, the Johto dark type Pokemon, they do have this sinister feel to them. You know, you have a crow that steals food, you have the dog that is the devil, and Tyranitar, who looks like it could step on your house. So that has a few points for me, and it's got the goat, Krokorok, and Crocodile, and Zoroark is so amazing, like Aaron said. Um, but I, I I never realized how much they all look the same
Yeah.
until Aaron brought that up. I think there are some winners in there, but I would say like D or E.
Oh, okay. So, Josh.
oh man, I mean, when it comes to dark type, I honestly, dark type's one of those types that really like grew on me throughout the years. I mean, I've always been a huge Tyranitar fan. Like he was probably like one of my favorite Pokemons when I was a kid. I always had him on my team, especially in the earlier gens and stuff like that. But with dark types, I can definitely see like design wise, they can be very like just like basic when it comes to that. But I mean, overall, when it comes to like battle style and stuff like that too, through like actual like gameplay, like a lot of the dark types, like Incineroar, I know he's fire and dark, but he has some darkness into him, in like the late games. Like I would put dark type a little bit higher. I like dark type as like a solid B. I like dark type more than bug type. I'll say that. Um, but I mean, like I know like Bisharp is one of my favorite Pokemon. Now I know he's steel and dark, but I love Bisharp. He is the fairy killer. Like you put any fairy type on him, he's murking him one shot every time. But yeah, so like for me, dark, I've always in terms of designs, I can see why, and that's why I wouldn't put it at A, but I love it better than bug, so I'm gonna put it at B.
So I'm conflicted here because it's like I am very biased when it comes to like villains and like anything, and these characters look like villains to me. I love Weavile's look. He looks like a little savage over here, like a ninja or something. I love Tyranitar. I love God, like Krokorok, and I literally just play with Hydreigon and all these other. I love the aesthetic. I love the look, and I was just talking about Draper. I love the aesthetic of Dark type. With that being said, sitting here looking at this, I'm like, how many of these Pokemon do I actually catch and use the whole time? I try to force myself to love Weavile, but I just end up never using Weavile. The only one I'm looking at that I actually really use is because I'm a dragon lover is Hydreigon, and I think there's something to that. So I can't go too high. I'm hearing 2Ds from Aaron and Jake. I'm hearing Josh saying at least B. I'm not going to lie. Sitting here though, I might have to side with them and do like low C or D. So I mean that's going to average out to D.
Can I say something about Hydreigon real quick?
Oh, absolutely, go for it.
Hydreigon evolves at level 64.
Yeah.
Whoa, I've never
It takes some dedication.
Whoa.
Listen, not everyone's Ash Ketchum though. We got some.
I know.
Give up by that point.
But look, when I got that Hydreigon, I felt accomplished. Okay, like look, I did not care. But yeah, it's a struggle. Because I can see why you guys think the designs are a little weaker. I personally enjoy them, but I can see where it's like it's kind of a weak look. I can see where that can come from. So you guys actually convinced me to drop it down. Sorry, Josh. I was with you too for a little bit, but I'm like, they're actually kind of right.
You want to shout out Darkrai, though. I forgot about Darkrai. Darkrai is
absolutely.
my favorite Typhon, so
Darkrai is awesome. Still at the Darkrai. All right. The next one is Dragon. Josh, how do you feel about the infamous Dragon type?
Now I will say before fairy types came out, I would probably put dragon types as probably like one of the best for me. Just for me, I always have a dragon type on my team in every game that I play, like whether that's Dragonite in like Gen 1, whether that's Flygon in like Salamence as well, like all of them. Like when it comes to dragon types for me, it's always up there for me. I always have one on my team, so I got to go at least. I would probably put that either S or A for me. I'm fine with it dropping the A or putting that the S. But in every game, you need one on your team. For me, like I'm a big Garchomp fan. He's like one of my favorite Pokemon there. I love Flygon as well, Dragonite. So yeah, even Charizard, the X version of Charizard is like so dope as well when it comes to designs and stuff like that. So, and also a ton of legendaries are that have like that dragon-esque of them in them. So yeah, I gotta put dragon type probably high A or low S in my opinion.
Jake, what's your opinions?
Dragon types are so fascinating to me. Um, there are two specific Pokemon that when you say their names, it strikes fear in Pokemon trainers. One of them is Whitney's Miltank, the other, Cynthia's Garchomp.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, that thing is a beast, first of all. And at the beginning, dragons are this reward, right? You get them at the very end of the game. You get Dratini right at the end of the game. And they were so special that the only dragon they added in the next generation, which was an evolution to previous Pokemon. So they were this big reward. And of course, they started adding more. And they started adding more winners. I don't think they're. Thank you, Shinx Boy 01. And I think the biggest winner of all of them, excuse me, like I said earlier, I love when Pokemon and the Pokemon Company takes risk, and I think one of the biggest risks they ever took was Alolan Executor being a giant ass palm tree dragon. It makes me so happy. I enjoy it. Personal bias all the way. Dragon is an S tier for me.
How about you, Aaron?
this is probably one of my most controversial opinions ever. I'm not really a fan of sharing this, but y'all can totally ignore me. But I absolutely hate dragon type. I have never liked dragon type ever. There's only two dragon type Pokemon that I actually like. Giratina and let's see, let's see. I was looking through it and I was like, oh, only two. And Jotagon.
There you go.
I think those are the only two that I like on this list. And so, oh, and Tyrantrum, so three. I like three. Besides those three, I am not a fan of any of them. I don't think I've used any of them except for Tyrantrum on a team before. So yeah, for me, Dragon type is F tier, but y'all can totally ignore me. Act like I just don't exist for this one.
Hold on. Very rarely do you have a Pokemon that breaks the VGC meta, and you got Dracovish with its big ass jaw biting people and sending them to hospitals.
Yeah.
F tier?
It does. Dragon type never does it for me, and I was very happy that Fairy type was introduced because of how much I dislike Dragon.
Fair enough.
And I just spent before coming on here. I just spent like way too long trying to beat Cynthia's Garchomp, and that just adds to the fuel to my fire. So.
Blue. So yeah, I'm sorry, you tripping, Aaron. I'm with them.
Yeah, like, ignore it.
Oh,
ignore it.
This recently became my favorite type. Pokemon Sword and Shield. My entire team with swapping Pokemons, may I tell you, was all dragon types. This is when I was talking about a big I don't care, I'm picking favorites. My entire time I had to beat the all the gyms, everybody with just dragon types. I caught all dragon types and I was very proud of myself. Gudra is now one of my new favorite Pokemon. I think Gudra is amazing. God, why can't I get the name? Jake, help.
Altaria.
I love Altaria. I've always loved Altaria's look. Dragonite's awesome. Just even the legendaries, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. You got Latios, Latias. I just love this group of Pokemon. And I know he's actually not on here, but Appleton, I'm an
Oh, I forgot
Appleton
about Apple. I
stan.
really have an
So
Appleton plushie.
like a grass dragon, I was like, really? Okay, I'll catch it. So I'm sorry. You're outvoted here, Aaron.
Oh
S
yeah,
tier.
no, yeah, I expected that. It's very controversial
No.
for me.
I know. I was gonna say. I was like, you like bug more than dragon,
Yeah.
man.
Um all right, so moving on to the next one. So it is actually electric type. Jake, how do you feel about the electric type Pokemon I'm finding a picture?
Goated. Electric types are goated. How rare is it that you have a manga that's very well established and you change the partner, one of the protagonists of the manga, a Clefairy, into an electric type Pikachu? Also, you got Luxray, you got Vikavolt, you got Electivire. Electivire was so popular that they introduced it as Gary's homie and then Paul's main guy. I would give Electric A or S.
I don't know how you feel about that, Aaron.
I agree 100%. It's S tier for me. Electric is it was my favorite typing for most of my life until like maybe the past 5 years it's changed. But um, yeah, I absolutely love electric type. If I were to like rank every Pokemon, the top 20 would probably have like mostly electric. Like I love electric type Pokemon. Helioptile is like one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Jolteon, Tapu Koko, Rodon. Like I mentioned Joltik earlier. Like I love most of these Pokemon a lot. And I typically always electric type is one of the only types that I always have on my team, except for Brilliant Diamond. It's the first time I didn't have an electric type, and it felt very weird. I struggled a lot not relying on electric, and so yeah, electric is S tier for me easily.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I gotta put Electrotype right up there. One of my favorite Pokemon in the whole series is Magnemite. I love that electric and steel combination. Such a cheat code in Gen 3 and also in the future gens as well. I gotta put it. I will not put it ahead of Dragon, but I'll put it in S tier right behind Dragon. Just because again, I feel like Dragon in terms of like similar like what Jake said, like the show really took a chance on Dragon and the whole legendary aspect. I feel like I lean towards the legendary dragon types than I do the electric types. Um, but that being said, though, no disrespect to electric at all. I definitely think it's an S tier, and even from like an anime perspective, like Pikachu is one of the most iconic Pokemon all around the world. Everyone knows who Pikachu is, and he's an electric type as well. Just to add a little anime to the Pokemon podcast and stuff like that. So I would put electric right at S tier, but behind dragon.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate. I like electric. I've I always have the struggle of catching electric types because it feels like the good ones are very hard to find. Like you really got to like hunt these guys down. But when you get them, they're fantastic. I've always, I mean, I never stray away from catching a Pikachu if I can find one because I mean, who doesn't want to ride show? But I'll never forget Pokemon Black and White. I caught a shiny Electivire. I mean, I trained a shiny Electivire, and that was like the coolest thing ever. I had like blue tips and everything. I was like, yeah, this is amazing. So I'm right with you guys. It's top tier. Now, even if I like Dragon more, since Aaron gave Dragon F, automatically it goes above Dragon actually because everyone ranked it high. Um, but
Yes,
there you
and,
go. So the next type is fairy. So Aaron, how do you feel about the fairy types?
well, on the flip coin of that, I, I absolutely love fairy type. I'm going to say something, and I'm saying it specifically. I like fairy type as an idea. Design wise, not really a big fan of designs of fairy type Pokemon. Bunch of like nauseating pink everywhere. But Mimikyu is my favorite Pokemon of all time. Whimsicott, I love Whimsicott. Xerneas is probably my favorite legendary. Cutiefly, Togepi, like these are all solid Pokemon. With maybe the exception of like Slurpuff. I'm not really a big fan of Slurpuff. But for the most part, like I do enjoy all of these Pokemon, so I would say A or B.
All right, how you feeling, Josh?
I agree. I would probably put Fairy since it is one of the newer types. It's not a C or below. I would probably put it at B. I mean, I do love Sylveon. And Sword and Shield, I had Sylveon on my team. And I cannot complain. I mean, I will say though, I do agree. I feel like they do put a lot of pink in these designs a lot. I mean, I feel like Fairy can be expressed in other ways too. But with that being said, though, with the addition of Fairy, that really hurt like Dragon types being so much powerful, and that also did elevate Poison and also Steel, which we will get to a little bit later. But that being said, though, I would probably put it at it's just screaming B tier for me.
How do you feel about it, Jake?
So I and we'll talk about this again later too. I love when Pokemon introduces a new type. I think it's exciting. I remember when the Sylveon reveal happened and everyone was speculating what type, if it was going to be like a flying type or a sound type. And it was Fairy, and we all thought it was the coolest thing. And then, you look at them and kind of in the same vein as dark types, they all look very similar. They're all cute. They're all like, oh my god, give me hugs, except for Mawile, who would bite my head off. But if Fairy has one of the most interesting designs, in my opinion, of a certain Pokemon, and it's Aromatisse, who's based off of a Plague Doctor. And I've always thought that was super interesting that they would give that to a Fairy type. And one of my favorite Pokemon, Togekiss, is Fairy type as well. But other than those kind of few shining stars, I just see a sea of pink. And I would have to go and say it kind of screams B tier.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. Let me look. Yeah, I'm like in the BC's range actually. Well, first of all, Togekiss, I love all of these OGs because I mean, obviously they needed to change some types around and add types to a lot of these old Pokemons. But I mean, it's giving like baby Pokemon, like the little fluffy ones. I'll never forget playing Sword or Shield. That was the first time they had a Fairy Gym, and I saw this thing, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" But like, but
Damn, man.
I love him so much.
I mean, I actually really loved the Fairy Gym too. Now that I think about it, in that game, it was a neat little idea. Having like some like enchanted forest or whatever. But I would like to see a couple more like not so cutesy wootsy Pokemon here. I feel like it'd be cool to have like some kind of like super scary thing every here and there. Like I think Grand Bull's a cool little design over here. Like give me some more of that, more variety. But it's a mid. So I'm hearing B tier basically for the most part. So I guess I'm gonna put it there.
I remember the Fairy Gym and Sword and Shield is a community theater audition, and it made me laugh so hard when I first did it.
That was the best. I was like, what? All right. So the next type is fighting. Aaron, did I just call you Aaron? I'm tripping.
Yeah, you did.
All right, Josh, how do you feel about fighting Pokemon?
Fighting Pokemon, they've definitely put their mark on the series. Like, I mean, I love Heracross. Infernape, obviously he's fire, but Infernape also has fighting as well. Even Blaziken, fire and fighting. Fighting types overall, they are very high on attack. That's one thing I've always realized. Even Hitmonlee, I loved Hitmonlee as a kid. And my favorite Pokemon that has really grown on me now is Medicham. So that's the psychic and fighting type aspect to it. And I will say, fighting type overall, it's definitely been a type that's been very consistent, and you kind of know what you're going to get. In terms of designs, I feel like they have since fighting type is in a lot of different other types. It's kind of different. And that's something that I really like about the fighting type. But would I put it in the same category as Electric and Dragon? Probably no, but I would probably put fighting at A tier for me. I think I really like how it branches out into different types as well. And design wise, like there's no real like with fairy, we saw a lot of pink and stuff, and with dark type, we just saw a lot of just like bland stuff. But when it comes to the or the fighting type, it really just adds a lot. There's like a lot of difference when it comes to that. So
How about you, Jake? How you feel about fightings?
I agree wholeheartedly. A tier for me. Um, and my favorite Pokemon is half fighting. I'll share it when we get to the other half. But if you look at some of these Pokemon in here, a lot of them have major roles in the anime as well. You got Krogunk, Beware, Lucario, Blaziken, Infernape, uh, Primeape, all these Pokemon, big characters in the anime, so the show even establishes them as prominent figures. I love fighting types. Yeah.
Aaron? With the hot take?
I've been trying to like fighting type. I'll start off by saying that. I have not gotten there yet. And I've always liked Madchop. He's always been up there for me in terms of just overall Pokemon. I don't know what it is about him. His design's pretty simple, but I like, love it. Scrafty, I love that it's like attribute of always pulling up its pants. And so like there are like a couple stars in the fighting type, but overall, I think I've used those two, and then I'm just more interested in other types all the time. And so I don't really use fighting type, but I see the value in fighting type. And sometimes they have my team shaking because I don't really have much counter for fighting type often. But if I were to rank them, I would put them in D.
Okay. Now I will say, design wise, I'm in love with fighting type designs. I love one of my favorite Pokemon, Hitmonlee's up here. New one, Marshadow. It's dope. In that new movie, I love what they did with Metacham, Lucario, iconic. Obviously, there's so many iconic Pokemon to come out of here, and I personally I always make sure to have a fighting type in my teams, minus Sword and Shield, obviously, but I always make sure I have one of these guys in here because I just love them. Personal preference, I will put it at an S, but I feel I'm even though I'm thinking like A. I think that sounds about right. So, yeah. All right, cool. So we're gonna start getting to the first one of the most common or the base level. So Jake, how do you feel about fire type Pokemon?
So remember when I said one of my favorite Pokemon was half fighting type? My favorite Pokemon is Blaziken. It was my first starter I ever had. So I am 100% biased. I'd put it at an A just solely for that. But the anime has established fire types as one of the most important types. I mean, Entei was a prominent figure. But then, other than Pikachu, there is one Pokemon that you think of Ash having, and it's Charizard. So you got Charizard, you got Incineroar, you have Cyndaquil, you have I believe he had a Tepig and maybe a Pignite in the black and white anime, and Infernape, part of the most iconic battle in the anime's history against Paul. I just think this is just such a well done type. My big drawback though is its designs. I see a lot of orange, I see a lot of red. But there's still some super unique ones like Chandelure. Chandelure is a floating lamp with fire coming out of it. Like, come on, that's so dope. I think fire is such a great type. I would give it an A personally, but I'm interested to see what you guys have to say as well.
Aaron, what's your opinions on fire?
I think it's a pretty solid type. I often don't really vocally praise fire type, but I enjoy fire type a lot. I think there's only one Pokemon here that I don't like, which ironically is the one that Jake likes. Yeah. But overall, I love every single one of them. They're all solid Pokemon. I absolutely love Chandelure. Um, yeah, I Salandite. I'm just looking at them. The Marowak, Alolan Marowak, how do you say that? The Blasphaleon or
Something.
Blacephalon.
Yeah.
yeah, like I literally love all of these. They're like really solid designs. Like yes, they're all red and orange, but they're all still enjoyable. So I would say A.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, if we have electric up there at S, I gotta put fire at S. I mean, in terms of overall impact to the series, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory when it comes to Ash's Charizard and stuff like that. Even the new champion in Sword and Shield, what's his name? I'm going blank on his name.
Leon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leon. Even Leon and his Charizard, like, I mean, Charizard is a big influential Pokemon into the series. And honestly, like for me, similar to Aaron as well, like, I mean, when it comes to fire types, I normally don't choose fire types when it comes to starter Pokemon. I'm more of like a grass and water, but I do mix in some fire types like Blaziken. I love Blaziken. He really introduced that fire fighting type combination, which I think, yeah, it adds more weaknesses to Blaziken, but in terms of pure power and strength, like I mean, that one of the best battles in the anime was Blaziken versus Sceptile. I mean, I honestly that's right up there. So I mean, overall in terms of impact, I got to put it at S, especially if we got electric up there. I got to put it at S.
I've been playing the last two games. I mean, I'm not done Shining Pearl yet. I have not caught a no. I have a Ponyta, but I already did my little rant on. I wish there was more fire types. Um, I Sword and Shield. I didn't. That's the first time ever I played a Pokemon game with no fire type. And it's sick because this is the only one that I really wanted, and I could never get him because it wasn't in my game, and my other friends couldn't trade him to me. I really wanted him. I was pissed because he's a Dragon Fire type. Other than that, though, I've noticed. I think they've noticed that like they like flooded us with so many fire types early on. They like slowed down and not giving us as many in the new generations, which kind of sucks, but I get it. But I mean, this is design wise. I mean, other than the colors, but because grass and water also face the one color problem. I do enjoy this. And I even like what you got Ho-Oh and Entei, like they're dope. I'm a huge like Magby fan, and I love all of them. So yeah, I'm hearing basically like bottom like towards S honestly. So I'm guessing we're going to do S here. So the next is we are almost halfway there. All right, so the next one is flying. Josh, how do you feel about flying type Pokemon?
I will say a lot of if you were to ask me this question in like the older gens, I mean, I would probably put flying type right up there just because you needed one in all of the old school games to get around. But I will say now with the addition of adding like I know in Let's Go Pikachu, you can like fly on your own, and even in this game where you can like fly on your own and get a Star Raptor to fly for you. I definitely think that does hurt flying types a little bit, but I mean overall though, when it comes to flying types and their influence, I mean Star Raptor has always been one of my favorite flying types. Even Pidgeot in the old school Pokemon games as well for me has been always up there. Even Swellow, I love Ash's Swellow. Oh my goodness, probably one of the his Swellow was like freaking like tough. But overall in terms of flying types, I'd put it at least an A, similar to fighting types. But I think now with the new addition to like you don't really need to use flying types to fly around the game and stuff, I would put it just a little bit below S for me, but A tier for me.
Okay. Oh, and there's like a little feedback. I'm not sure where that was coming from. I'm not sure if everyone else can hear it or not. But Aaron, how do you feel about it?
For me, I'm in the same vein. I really enjoy flying type a lot. I'm looking at them. I love Minior. Absolutely love Minior. Rowlet, I'm Rowlet Hive all the way. Drifblim. Like I really like a lot of these, and so like yes, you can argue like maybe the designs aren't as exciting as other types because they're like they're not forced, but they're seemingly forced to like kind of have some wing aspect, or to like make them look like they can fly, or they're floaty. But I don't that doesn't really hold them back to me. I think they're all really still exciting designs. And I typically always have, even though I don't need to have a flying type on my team, I still like to have one because there's at least one that still interests me, like design wise, and sometimes even two. Like since I get a little greedy, so I would say A tier.
All right, what you, Jake?
First, can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, you someone.
Sorry?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. I'm about to upset people. I hate flying types. Because I always found it a hassle that I had to catch one just so I could fly around the region and go to the Celadon department store so I could buy more Pokeballs, or I'd just go to daycare to hatch my eggs. It just got me so annoyed that I had to like catch like a Staravia or a Tailo or a Swablu that I never was gonna use. So I really like. There were some great ones. Gligar's the homie. Noivern is a great design. Obviously, Star After, and you can't forget about Swellow getting the Thunder armor in the anime. So I'm sorry, guys. I'd probably give it a C.
You know, you don't need to apologize. I'm right with you there. I think flying types can be some of the most exciting, yet some of the most boring. Specifically with every region has to have that common Pokemon, Pidgey, Swellow, Starly, Fletcher. I get so bored because they start feeling so boring. Like I think the biggest example was whatever Ufezant started. I was just like, what are we doing here? I was just like, I don't know. I get bored. Like I actually think some of my favorite flying type. And I'm talking about pure flying type. I mean, mine is Noctowl. Noctowl is boring, but he looks cool. But pure flying type because like obviously there's the people like God like Tropius, for example, and Leba, they're not really true. They're just like this is a bug type mixed with something. So I get those. But like I always thought it was a breath of fresh air when you got Pokemon like Delibird. I thought Hulucha was a great step in the right direction. I love Hulucha. And like the Pokemon that like they're flying, but like there's like a catch to it. It's not just a bird that just flies and a Honchiko's cool, but it's just a bird and it has dark powers. Like give me something cool. Like Hulucha was so different. I was like, hey, like I got a luchador, a little pigeon here, So, the one thing that I'll give it that stopped me from trashing is that it's legendary. Specifically, you got Rayquaza, you got Ho-Oh, even I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Yveltal.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Exactly. Like there's some redeeming qualities here. So it's not trash. It just can get a little stale sometimes because I feel like this is where they lack creativity a little bit. Oh, and I'm not going to forget to mention Lugia. Lugia is dope. But Josh, where did you rank it?
So I put it at A, right below fighting.
You did the same thing, right, Aaron?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to even it. 2 A's, 2 C's. That is automatically a B lister. So there you go. There.
Now is it ahead of Fairy, or do you want to keep it?
I feel like Fairy have like solid B tier.
Yeah.
Solid B A, where this one's like more like directly in the middle. So there you go. There. Now Ghost. So Aaron, how do you feel about Ghost type Pokemon? Because I feel like you're gonna trash it.
Ghost is my favorite type.
Hey, I lied.
Bro, I am a huge every game once I beat the game, I make an all ghost team just to have. I absolutely love ghost type. Every single ghost Pokemon I like. Like I can't say a single ghost type Pokemon that I don't like. So for me, it's like very, very easily to say that it's S tier. It's mostly just because they're always just. I feel like this is their most creative, design wise. Like, I mean, people either love them or hate them because of the designs. Like, Klefki is like very controversial. I love Klefki. It's like just just floating key key set that I just absolutely love. Chandelure, the Sinistea, Driftblim, Palossand, like these like odd and eccentric designs that I don't know, they're exciting to me. Like I like when Jake has touched on it a couple times. I like when Pokemon really steps out of the box and does it in a way where it doesn't like feel like redundant or boring. I just feel like Ghost type has never dropped the ball for me, at least, in terms of design. So yeah, I would say S tier.
How about you, Josh?
Ghost type is one of it's probably in my top 3, maybe top 2 types. It's S tier for me. And I'm furious at this ranking that you posted on here as I was watching.
It's just a picture.
I'm like, why is Gengar a D? Gengar was OG, like one of the best Gen 1 Pokemon, like at the time. Obviously now over time, when you add like more gens and stuff, obviously Gengar is not going to be as powerful as it once was. But if you play the old school games, Gengar, you have to have him on your team. And also for me, Angus Slash as well. That's another one. The Steel and Ghost type that was really introduced in Sword and Shield. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time. And yeah, I don't know why that's on D either, because you have a Steel and Ghost type. And just to add to that, whenever you fought fighting types or also normal types, you throw in a Ghost in there. I mean, it ain't doing nothing. I remember when I first started playing Pokemon, I had a Hitmonlee, and I went up against a Ghost type for the first time. I didn't know this, and I chose High Jump Kick, and it said not affected, doesn't affect him, and then he ended up crashing and hurting his HP. But yeah, that's just to add more fun when it comes to the Ghost type. Design wise, I love it. Even the one Pokemon I forget where like you hit him and then like his head snaps a little bit, and then yes, that's another great one. That was in the Aloha region. So yeah, when it comes to Ghost types, it's S tier for me. It's not even a question.
Now, real quick before we continue, Aaron, you have a question. What T-shirt is Aaron wearing now, standing in full screen? Thanks.
The evolving Xmon. So it's Pikachu as Storm, Squirtle as Iceman, Psyduck as Professor X.
I like that.
So cool.
All right, go ahead, Jake. What's yours?
I love Ghosts. I mean, the anime hyped up Ash not catching a ghost for 20 years before he catches the OG Gengar. And you have a Pokemon like Shedinja with the most insane obtaining method, where he just shows up. What a great story that Pokemon has. Similarly, you have Galarian Corsola, which is a environmental statement about the killing of coral reefs. And then on a personal note, I have a list of Pokemon I would like to hug before I die. I don't think that I will obtain that list, as Pokemon are not real, but the top of that list is Gengar. I am struggling to put ghost types in S, just because S is crowded right now. So I would put ghost types either low S or the very top of A.
Okay.
And we can always knock one down too, if as we get more into these rankings and stuff towards the end.
We're gonna have a period at the end where we can do any last second changes, Shuss.
I'm new here. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you are so good.
You're
this is Aaron's first time too. Yeah. I think Ghost type does everything right where Dark type misses, and I really enjoyed the way that they really implemented a lot of these people, especially like Dusknoir. Gengar looks cool. I mean, he's literally purple, but he's just like it's a ghost. Like this is the menacing yet. Like when someone pulls out a ghost type, I'm like, oh, like this person means business, like but like even Misdreaves, like they just look so cool at the same time. And I like the concept they do, like literally have a candle or a possessed tree or something, or even though I don't use it, I forget what the teacup Pokemon is called. I thought it was so dope that there was a certain version that was uncracked and like people were like searching for that version and it took forever. Like I thought that was a cool little thing that they did. And Hoopa is just so dope. Like I'm sorry, I love Hoopa. So Jake said like low S or A. Josh and Aaron, Josh said S. Aaron, you said
S, yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
so
and I said top of S.
Yeah, me
I love
too.
Ghost.
Like it's my
Yeah,
favorite type.
I'm with Jake though. I'm with Jake. I'm gonna put it like right here. To be honest, right
there, right
it's
behind
gonna be right here. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I'll change it if we're allowed to alter at the end. I'll put Ghost towards the top of S as well.
All right, there you go. We're good. So Ghost is at the top. All right. Next is grass. Josh, how do you feel about grass?
Now kid me, I did not really understand grass because like it had so many weaknesses, you know, and just starting out and just trying to figure out the game. But overall, I mean, grass's overall impact, I really love grass. I mean, Torterra is my favorite Pokemon. I love the concept of the whole Turtwig evolution. You get this little leaf, and then it goes into a Grotto's okay, but then that little leaf turns into like a huge tree. And Bulbasaur, I love Bulbasaur a lot. Ivysaur, I think, is the best like second form of like the second evolution form out of all out of the 3 starter types in that series and stuff like that. Venusaur is okay, but I love Ivysaur a lot. When it comes to grass, and even with the anime, like Ash's Sceptile is probably one of the most iconic Pokemon of the series. With that being said, I mean, even oh man, what's the Rowlet? I love Rowlet in the new gen. I love his evolution as well, like their evolution as well. That Ghost and Grass type, I love that combination. I also love Ghost too, so that's just another. I'm a little biased when it comes to that. But Grass type overall, I gotta put it at least an A. I know we have a lot in S, so I can't bump the S. But in terms of overall impact, I mean, I will say like there is a lot of like the same color, but again, like it is grass, you know, so it's like you can't really change the color of grass, you know. But even with that, though, overall, in terms of his impact to the anime and also one of my favorite Pokemon being Torterra, I gotta put it at A tier for me.
How about you, Jake? How do you feel about grass type?
Grass is purely middle of the road for me. I do not dislike it. In fact, in video games, or in the video game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky, the character of Grovyle is one of the best Pokemon characters of all time. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. You also have King Mirror B in Coliseum and XD using his Ludicolo, and you have Alolan Executor. And, you know, you have Pokemon number 1, Bulbasaur. And I agree with everything you said about Ivysaur being kind of awesome. That being said, other than those few iconic Pokemon, I don't really think of any massive moments of where I'd be like, oh my god, that grass type is intimidating, or oh, I need to catch that grass type, or that grass type legendary is amazing. I just feel like it's very like it's like a support Pokemon. So like it's there to help others, make others look good or make others look bad, and for that reason I would give it a B tier.
All right. And Aaron.
I go off and on with grass. I don't have any strong distaste for any of the grass Pokemon when I'm looking through this. I either really love them or I'm just like, okay, I can see why people would like them. But like, I would say before Gen 7, I would say C. But because I love Rowlet and Decidueye so much, so much, them alone makes me want to put it in B.
Now, for me, I actually kind of feel a little bit with Jake. I think grass type unless it's a starter, half of the time I find myself not catching them. And I think it's not because they're bad, because half of the time I'm like, oh, I need one. But it's like half of the time you're looking for a good one and they don't come till later in the game and your team's like already established. And it's like, I don't got time to train more Pokemon. I do think it's interesting that most of the time the grass types, usually the other types is like the bigger the Pokemon, the more intimidating they are. Here's like the small grass types are like the scary ones, like Roselia and Cherum and half of these small guys here. And honestly, the broken thing that a lot of people don't know about is like if you throw spikes, toxic spikes, or like absorb or leech seed or all that, that's where they really are like dangerous, and I hate them for that. But they're good to have if you find a good one, but it's like it feels like a struggle because like personally they start getting really ugly around here. I'm like, what are they doing with half of these designs? um but I'm kind of like Jake. I'm like middle of the road on these guys. So Josh A, Aaron B, Jake D, I'm a C. That's actually going to make it like bottom B here, so we're going to put that right there.
Oh yeah, and just to add, when it comes to grass types, Shroomis, oh my goodness, in Gen 3, oh man, you can't even touch that one, and you'll get like paralyzed, you'll get poisoned, you'll fall asleep. I'm like, damn,
these guys are like nuisances.
I also wanna throw in the anime, the one time they used a plot one time of a Pokemon being in love with a human, and that was Ash's Chikorita being in love with him, and then they got letters. The creators in Japan got letters telling them that's inappropriate.
It's
and
creepy.
So cut it. It's very weird.
Yeah, that's creepy.
And I will say, because Josh said something, I forgot to say is I agree. I think also if it's not one of those small guys doing that, the next best thing, if it's a grass type that's heavily defensive like a Torterra, dangerous, by the way. I forgot to say that. I love Bayleaf and Meganium and Stantler and all the other ones that do that as well. But yeah, that is grass. So Jake, how do you feel about ground types?
Have you ever had a party when you were young, like a birthday party, and you invited your friend, but then your parent says, "Oh, you gotta invite his brother too." That's ground types. I think I just got ground and rock confused.
That's very they can get very confusing. So yeah,
they're okay. They're nothing special. They have some winners, Crocodile. I was gonna say Tyranitar, but he loses the ground typing for rock. I would do like C, D, E range. I am not a big ground guy.
I'm gonna jump in early. I usually go last, but I needed to say this. This is probably the most confusing type that I feel like Pokemon does not know what they want to do with. They don't know if they want to be a rock type. They don't know if they want to be sometimes like I'm looking at this like some of these are like flying type, some of these but like it's very confused. Like ground type, half of the time I'm like I think it's a rock type. Like look at Geodude, why is he a ground type? I'm like, huh? So I'm just like it's very confusing. And honestly, a lot of these Pokemon this is ground mixed with something. It's not the primary ground, it's the secondary. There's not a lot of prime ground type Pokemon. And I think it's just because it's boring. Not a lot of people catch ground type Pokemon. They're not that fun to play with. If I'm in my experience at least, like I said, this is my first time having a Golem. I love it, but I can see why it takes so long. Like I love the idea of like Famfi and all these other guys, but it's like like Mamoswine is the only one I can see people really like constantly catching all the time. It's just like, and he's not even primarily ground, so this type is a mess in my opinion. But I needed to say that. I'm so sorry. Before I forgot it. Aaron, how did you feel about ground type?
Even though you got mixed up, Jake, I agree with that brother analogy. how I treat ground. Usually when I have a ground type Pokemon on my team, it's not because of its ground typing. It's just kind of like an added bonus or added thing that exists. It's mostly because of its other type. So like I had Gastrodon. It's mostly just because it's water, but it's also ground. So like electric won't really, it won't hurt me. And then Seismitoad, Mamoswine, Steelix, like all these Pokemon I like, but it's not because they're ground. So as a type, like even Diggersby was like one of my favorite Pokemon for a very long time. But it being ground didn't really affect how I felt about it. So I would say as a type, it'd be D for me.
How about you, Josh?
The only thing I'm going to add is I feel like ground type is very similar to bug in regards to like it's a lot of dual type. So like ground by itself obviously is not really something to be like excited about, but ground added to water is a great combination. Even though the Pokemon look boring, like I know a lot of people hate Wooper and they hate Swampert because of like their designs and stuff like that, and I get that. But that water ground type combination is probably it's the best combination you can get in the game. There's only one weakness, which is grass. So like ground is like the perfect, like you said, Jake, I agree. It's like that brother, you're adding ground to the Pokemon, you're adding like that extra element to it, which is why you see in a lot of these designs, like you see Garchomp, dragon and ground. You see Swampert, water and ground. You Nidoking, Nidoqueen, poison and ground. Like even Steelix, steel and ground. Like ground is always like that extra, it's like that added boost to elevate the Pokemon more. So it's a really great like support type. But in terms of ground by itself, there's no real, like you guys, I agree with all you guys. But with that being said, I'm going to treat ground similar to how bug is treated, but I would put ground ahead of bug because ground is a great support, is a better support to the Pokemon than bug is to the other types. So that's just my personal preference. I would probably put ground at top of C.
Can I really quickly
go for it?
I want to switch to top of C as well because of Stunfisk. Stunfisk is one of my favorite Pokemon. So dumb, it makes no sense. And I think it's the perfect meme. So I'm with you 100%, Josh.
There you go. All right. So next we got ice. So Josh, how do you feel about ice types?
I hate ice types. other than like one or two Pokemon, I can't stand ice types. They stink in battle, honestly. Like other than Frostlass, I love Frostlass. That's one of my top tier Pokemon. Ice and Ghost is definitely tough. But like when you put ice in a battle, like it has so many weaknesses. Rock, it's even weak to rock. It's weak to fire. It's weak to fighting. It's weak to pretty much anything. And no disrespect. Again, I like the idea of ice, but like I've never been a fan of it. Now I do love one of the legendary ice. I'm going blank. Articuno, right? I'm not pronouncing it. I love that's one of my favorite legendaries. But besides that, I mean, ice really does not stand out for me at all. That's just me. I would probably put it at. I'm not putting any type at F, but I would put that at D for me. I'm not a fan of ice.
How about you, Jake? How you feel about that?
Josh, I don't want you to talk to me or my son ever again. All right. I love ice types because I think aesthetically they're so mysterious and sleek. I'm with you in the fact that there's not a ton of icons in there. And maybe it's just personal bias that I like ice. I mean, Articuno, like you said, is like this magical bird. Lapras is dope, but that's primarily water. I like ice types, but I'd probably just give them a B. I know it's not going to stay B, but that's just a personal bias.
Aaron.
Yeah, I'm with Josh. I am not a fan of ice. I feel like I've told you this, Isaiah, but I have a big complaint about how they treat ice because I think ice could be very cool if they didn't wait until the 7th or 8th gym to make them available. Every gen, it's like by that time, I've already decided who I want on my team. I'm not waiting until the 7th or 8th gym rarely am I ever waiting till that far into the game to add someone else to my team. So they typically don't get put on my team. I absolutely love Glaceon. It's my favorite evolution. But I mean, there's barely any ice type here because of how they treat ice type. Like they put them at the end of the game, and then they don't give you many options, one or two, and then that's all they really are. Ice to me is ice is to water as ground is to rock. Like that's how I view it. Like it's like there's potential there, but they don't know what they want to actually do with the ice type, and so they're given the short end of the stick. So
Oh yeah,
I would put them at D.
oh yeah, Isaiah. Before you go, I just want to add one more point. I like Glaceon too. I don't want to. He's one of my ice types. But
Yeah.
no. I agree. No, I'm just talking about the overall type in general. I'm not speaking of Glaceon, but I also want to add though with Jinx. Jinx has also had a history of racism, like especially with the lips of Jinx. Like a lot of people were coming at Jinx for that. So I just want to add that to the effect too. Like I have never had a good feel like, and I think that was probably the start of it for me. But like I never really had like a good relationship with ice. That's just besides Frostlass and Glaceon and also the legendary bird. That's it. That's it for me. Everybody else can.
Yeah, I mean, like Frost says, it's cool. Dugong. I'm looking at some of them. They don't have the new ones, but I regret not catching this thing. I thought it was hilarious when I first saw it. But looking at these and also looking at the new ones in Sword and Shield, like Mr. Rhyme, for example, and the Ice Darmanitan, I think that's how you say his name. I think that's almost like the way that ice is going. They're not really making many new ice types anymore. Look at this, like a Sword Shield. They're just kind of remaking other Pokemon now and just making them ice types. And I think that's because they don't really know what to do here, and it's kind of unfortunate because I think ice has a lot of potential. It's literally ice. Like, have you guys never seen like Sub-Zero or something? Like, what are y'all doing? But they don't know what to do with this type, and I was shocked to see this amount of ice. I thought there were going to be more, but there's not, and a lot of these aren't even pure ice types. So it's like, damn. But I'm you guys kind of convinced me. I mean, I would honestly, I'm thinking about putting it in F, but I mean, I have to average
Yeah,
everybody out.
I was gonna interject and say that I would actually want to put it in F.
Yeah,
Um,
it's time. We got our first
I
F.
would like everything positive I've said about ice types to be struck from the record, please. Um, I am okay with ice being at F.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I did not think it would go in F, but I'm like, oh wow, yeah, it's actually pretty bad. So there you go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 left. So Aaron, how do you feel about normal types?
I think normal was a very interesting typing, only just because I don't feel like it really has a set style or approach that they have with it. They kind of just throw whatever in normal type, and so there's just like this wide range of what normal type can be or do. Oftentimes it's tagged on with something else, and so like in terms of variety, normal type takes the cake. Um,
Sheesh.
and I mean, we literally just see like how many like the different designs that normal type has. Um, but even though there's a lot of variety, I feel like it's like middle of the road. Um, I'm conflicted. I would say B or C. B only because the designs I think are pretty solid, but C just because they're also like in general not the most exciting Pokemon in my opinion.
How do you feel about them, Jake?
I really enjoy normal type Pokemon. I always like to have at least one on my team. Um, as Aaron brilliantly stated, the designs are so vast and they're so nice to look at because they're anything from a gecko that transforms to a floating ball sack, and it is great. I love all of these designs. But what's more interesting is the TM compatibility and the moves that they can use. So many different types. Our favorite type ice, our least favorite type electric. They can use all those TMs. And that was funnier in my head. But you can use they can use moves of all different types. And Snorlax is dope too. So I like them. I'd put them AB range.
Okay. Josh.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would probably put normal B range, similar to Jake and what Aaron are saying as well. Like, I mean, for me, one of my favorites, I love Snorlax. Obviously, he's always on my team in Gen 1. And then even just to add like Tauros, I remember Ash's Tauros as well being like a big thing. I know Isaiah, I know you love Apom, so I know like he's another one, like a normal type. Like when you think of normal, you think of like blah, like like nothing really excitement, but I really like that aspect of they pretty much can learn any TM. Ditto is the biggest cheat code, and you can pretty much breed if you are into breeding Pokemon and all that stuff. You can't do that without a Ditto. So I mean, unless like you find two Pokemon that love each other, but that's very hard to do in the game, and no one has the time for it. You just throw a Ditto with it and call it a day. But even like for me in Gen 3, Exploud, I loved Exploud. Like Loudre and all them, they are one of my favorites. And then, oh man, I remember in even old school Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, what is it? Clefairy? No. The fully evolution form of it. Yes. The HP was like 1,000. So like every time you hit him, like it would barely go down. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like it's cheat code. But yeah, so overall, I wouldn't put normal at S though, but just because again, like there a lot of normal is dueled with something else. But with that being said, I would put normal probably a solid A or B. I'm fine with either or. Top of B, low A, around there is good for me.
Yeah, I'm a huge normal fan actually looking at this. I mean, there's a lot more options. But I've noticed that this is the type that they're trying to base things off of, like woodland creatures or like real life animals, and I think that's pretty cool. I like Ursaring, like Josh said, like Ambipom line. I love the licky.
Licky.
I think this is a fun type design wise. Now attack wise, it doesn't really stand out. Like I don't care about Swift or like quick attack. Like okay, but I mean it's still cool. I mean they look cool, and as Jake said earlier, like when you want a Pokemon to like travel with you, I would choose these guys. So I'm right there with you guys. I'm thinking A here. So I'm gonna do low A. Aaron, what did you say for yours?
B.
A, B. Okay, so we're gonna do low A.
Hey Isaiah, I have a question for you.
What's up?
How did you feel when Ash gave away his Apom to Dawn, and then
it was
she
sick,
just gave
but
it right away?
I was glad we didn't lose him. I was sick though because I loved him.
But then Dawn just gave him right away.
It was sick. It was sick. And then what was he? I also didn't like. Paul had an Ursaring, and then the Ursaring lost a battle, and he gave it to some kid with like in a random Pokeball. He's like, "Oh, this guy just gave me a new Ursaring." After there was a whole episode, huh?
That was an Azumarill. He kept the Ursaring.
Okay, because I remember there was a whole episode where this Ursaring was like terrorizing like the forest, and then Paul caught it. I was like, "Yo, like this is crazy!" Like I love that. I was like, I don't know. I think some of these guys have like even Zigzagoon. Like some of these people have the potential to be like savages. So that's why I'm like, all right. But yeah,
solid group.
All right, Jake, how do you feel about poison types?
I forget that poison's a type sometimes. I don't think it's bad. I like it. I just kind of forget about it sometimes. I can't really think of one super iconic poison type. They like, oh, you guys are gonna be mad, but like I think they're very similar to dark types in the sense of like, okay, they're kind of like they kind of look sinister. They're like kind of look villainous, but also like they're just kind of there. I mean, Crobat is dope. Gengar is more of a ghost than poison. Naganadel, that's a really good one. I mean, I'm trying. Like, I would. I'm sorry, guys. I'd give it a D.
See, I'm gonna step in here. I don't know where I'm gonna rank. I'm actually super open-minded. It can go anywhere. I always love the idea, just like ice, the idea of poison, and I've always searched for a poison one, but I'm like, ugh, where am I gonna find one? And it's like it's kind of just like Dark and Ghost, honestly, like you were saying. And I was trying to always figure out what's the issue here. And I think I figured it out. The games, it seems, like to use these guys as fodder with Team Rocket Pokemon. And since they do that so much, it's like, I don't want to catch this. Like, I don't want to catch that. Because you're always fighting them as Team Rocket. And since they suck with them, it's built in my brain. I'm like, oh, they must suck. When they really don't. And it's like, when you get like Toxic Spike specifically, and then like you get a Pokemon that can do Roar, it's over for because you just keep poisoning everyone's Pokemon and it's broken. But it should. This is one of those Pokemon types I feel like should be really good, but it isn't utilized correctly. Just like how I think Ice should be really good, but it's not utilized correctly. So that's my mindset. How do you feel about Poison, Aaron?
I feel the complete opposite. I love poison type. I When I think about poison, I think that the game would be very different if poison type didn't exist. I think in terms of typings that impact the game, I think poison type impacts the game the most. Only simply because poison is such a big like scare to people. Like no one wants a Pokemon to be poisoned. There's so many ways to poison your Pokemon. And I think poison has a lot of impact on the game. The bad guys usually use poison. And then at least in my experience, like I always had a Butterfree on my team in Gen 1 because like poison was everywhere. Like everybody had a poison type Pokemon on their team, from like random people on their bikes to the bad guys to the gym leader. Like I had to have a Butterfree if I wanted to survive, basically. And so I feel like poison has always been relevant. And I like most of these Pokemon. So for me, poison would be A.
How about you, Josh?
I'm kind of in the middle between both what Aaron said and also what you guys have said, Isaiah and Jake.
Oh, I'm open-minded. I don't know where I'm putting it.
Well, yeah, I'm like leaning towards like your guys' way of thinking, just because with poison, I really think I agree with what Aaron's saying. Like, I mean, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, they're not so powerful without the addition of like adding poison powder. That's another attack where it's like that slowly, like as the battle progresses, like poison really affects them and ends up being the difference between a victory and a loss. Poison in turn, but like no real like poison type really stands out for me. Like Nidoking is a poison type, same with Nidoqueen, but they also have ground to it, you know? So there's no real like one set poison type. But to counter that, like now with the addition of fairy type and poison being more super effective against fairy types now, I think that really helped elevate poison to the point where I'm like, okay, like I wouldn't, because I think poison is a very good like supporting one, similar to ground is, or similar to how bug is. Like it adds like that supporting aspect to it. But I would rank poison higher than ground and bug because the poison support really elevates. Like the grass and poison dual type is deadly in the game because not only can you give out poisons, but you also don't get poisoned yourself because you are poisoned, you know? And I agree with your analogy, Isaiah. I feel like a lot of the times, like we view poison as bad because when we're battling a poison type, we're usually battling the evil people in the game, and you know what happens to the evil people in the game, we always lose. So I would probably put poison. I would probably put it at B range. I could even lean the highest I'll ever lean is probably top of B, but I would probably put it in between low and high B. That's where I would go with poison.
So Josh is a B. Aaron is an A. Jake is a D. I am actually a C. So, do we want top or C?
Top.
Go ahead.
I said we can do top of C or bottom of B.
Yeah, right?
We can do top of C. We'll do 3-3.
Mhm.
Okay. Were you gonna say something, Jake?
Oh, I just said I am confused.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were like literally all four.
I know.
I know.
This is like the most middle out of all of them that we're gonna have. So.
And that's what poison does to people. It confuses them.
It's right, man. It's so confusing.
Speaking of confusion,
I like that. I like that transit. That was good.
All right, go ahead, Jake. How do you feel about psychic?
all right, man, if you have never looked at a spoon and tried to bend it with your mind at least once in your life, you have not lived. Psychic is goated. It was so overpowered that it had to be nerfed to add dark type to stop it. Also, it represents in Japanese, it's the mind type. So its weaknesses being dark or evil, bugs, and what was the other one? Ghosts are all human fears. It's a perfect symbolism. There's a lot of winners. My second favorite Pokemon is half psychic. I think psychic is goated. I think it's an S tier.
How you feeling, Josh?
I completely agree. I would put it behind Ghost in S tier. One of my favorite Pokemon, Gardevoir. Psychic, and I know now Fairy, but it used to just be a psychic type. But I love Gardevoir, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I love the whole idea of psychic. Even Metagross, right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. That steel and psychic type is just deadly. I remember in the old school games, I always had one on my team. Now I know some games you had to wait to beat the game to get it. I hated that, but I was like, yeah. But when it comes to psychic, I love it just as much as I love Ghost. I would put Ghost a little bit ahead of it. That's just me. But I mean, in terms of overall impact, just like what Jake said, he really hit it spot on. Like they had to create literally another type to stop it, because in Gen 1, literally, if you had an Alakazam, you're winning the game. It's a wrap. There's nothing that can counter that, you know? And that's also why Steel was also added as well, because Steel also can really affect Psychic too. Now it's not super effective, but Psychic move won't work on Steel. So it's like the fact that you had two types get implemented in the game to stop you. Yeah, you got to put it up there.
Marion.
Yeah, I love Psychic type. It used to be one of my favorites. My favorite typings always shift and change. But even though it's probably not top 3 for me anymore, I still think it's like one of the best. Like regardless of how I currently feel, like I think it's one of the best. I literally think I like all of these Pokemon I'm looking. And if there are some that I don't like, it's very few of them. I think they're all pretty solid. And I mean, I mentioned that I used Butterfree because Psychic was so valuable in Gen 1. And I used Psychic so much to the point where I've recently been trying to force myself to not have a Psychic Pokemon on my team. I've only done that for 2 gens so far. But like that's how much I used Psychic Pokemon, was like to the point where I felt like I needed to stop using them just to give other typings a chance on my team. So I would say S or A for sure.
So, I just want to point something out. First of all, I didn't think about it till now, but I actually don't dislike any of these Pokemon I'm looking at right now, design wise. I think it's so creative that these are all the Pokemon that they try to base in like space or alien or something for a lot of these guys. But I want to point something out. How many of these Pokemon have a movie based around them? You got Deoxys, has a movie. You got Jirachi, has a movie. You got Lugia, has a movie. Latios and Latias has a movie. I've seen Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf all in a movie. I've seen I feel like Hoopa has a movie. A lot of these Pokemon are represented in movies. Pokemon likes their space Pokemon. Celebi has a movie. So it's crazy. But has a movie. That's crazy to think about. But like they love space Pokemon movies. And to be quite frank, those movies are very entertaining. So I'm gonna have to put in this. I didn't even think about it till now, but I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And plus, even in the game, I mean, like they're so fun to play with. So are we doing this? So I'm hearing. So what's the consensus? I heard Josh said behind Ghost. How
I'm
do you
gonna put
feel?
it above Ghost. So yeah.
How about you, Jake? You're the deal breaker. I'm indifferent.
I'm gonna have an anxiety attack. No. You know what? I'm gonna put it above Ghost
All right, there you
because
go.
the movie comment sold me because I didn't realize how many had movies. And I think that sold it to me a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Last three. Aaron, how do you feel about the rock type?
I've recently grown to really like rock type. I used to not like them, but I'm thinking of Minior. I'm thinking about Crustle. Who else is a rock type?
I
Think of my
got you.
head.
Hold up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Looking through 1,000 Pokemon. Oh yeah, what's the turtle's name? Tortic? No, I don't know. But the turtle, the water turtle.
Tortuga.
There you go. Thank you. Let's see what else we got. Sudowoodo, Nosepass, Aeron. Yeah, I like these Pokemon. I didn't use them for a long time, so I don't know about usability for most of them. Because it wasn't until I think Gen 5 was when I started to like Rock type, Tyrantrum. So I would say B for me. But I think they have one of my favorite designs, Gen 5 after, in terms of Pokemon.
All right, Jake, how about you?
See, rock types are the most we're here to type of types. Because, like, when I'm trying to remember all the types, I forget that rock is a thing. But then, Aaron, you're 100% right. I didn't think about the post Gen 5 designs and how great and creative they are. And also, you got to think about the best character in the anime, Brock, was originally the rock type gym leader. And there clearly was a reason that I believe two or three, maybe even, oh gosh, it was Rock or Brock, Roxanne, Rourke. Those were the three where Rock is the first gym leader. They're the first major boss battle you have to be exposed to. Do I think they're perfect? No. Do I think there are a lot of super iconic, memorable Pokemon? No. But I think there's a lot of winners. So I'm gonna give it top of C, low B.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, when it comes to rock type, I mean Jake and Aaron, you guys pretty much hit it for me as well. I think I agree with you guys, low B, high C in my opinion. I know that rock fish, I don't know what it's called, but it's in Gen
This one right
3.
here.
Yeah, but
Yeah, there.
Relicanth.
in that game specifically in Emerald, you had, and also I believe Rudy and Sapphire, you had to catch that in order to go underwater and unlock like the tunnels. I think to catch like Lugia or something like that. But you needed that Pokemon to catch it. But other than that, I mean, rock types are. I mean, I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. I used to hate them because they had a lot of weaknesses, but I used to love Aggron. Oh man, at Gen 3 Emerald, that was me right there. But with that though, I mean, I would put it low B, high C around there.
Yeah, I never really realized that I caught a lot of rock types, but looking at this, I've caught a lot of rock types, and honestly, I think that these guys are like secret cheat codes, in my opinion, game wise, to do a lot of damage. Specifically, like Tyranitar. You got Rhyperior. You got Rampardos, one of my favorite. These guys do major damage, specifically like Earthquake and stuff like that. And I've always enjoyed them personally, and I mean, I'm just now thinking about it. Like I put a lot of them in my team. Design wise, I mean, they're pretty solid too. I mean, rock based. I think Dwebble and all that. I think they're cool. I've never been too big of a fan of this legendary. I forget what his name is.
Terrakion.
Yeah, I've never been too big of a fan of him. There's no. real representation of like that. And what's this one called? Is this one the Ultra Beast or a Legendary?
Diancie.
DNC.
That's
Okay.
legendary from Kalos.
Got it. Yeah, I'm just like the legendaries are but uh around the board, I mean, I've enjoyed them. I think they do a lot of damage and they're really good with your team in terms of doing damage when you're trying to like do battle. So I will give them that. In terms of favoritism, okay, they're mid. I agree with you guys. I'll do like C, B range. I'm thinking so we're doing top of C?
I think B.
B? Okay, let's do bottom A. Why not? And there you go. All right. Who who did I just ask for that one? Was that Aaron? Yeah.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, Aaron, you're done for being first. All right. Steel. Josh, what's your opinions on Steel?
Steel is one of my favorite types. It's up there with, for me, and now you guys know my top three. I got Psychic, Ghost, and Steel. I love Steelix. I think Steelix was because Steelix was the first Pokemon to really get introduced to like that Steel type. And like I said before, like Steel was there to counter Psychic. And it really helped like evolve the game as well. And as you guys can tell, some of my other favorites, like Lucario fighting in Steel type. I love Magnezone. Magnezone is probably my favorite electric type / Steel type. And I've always even like Angus for me, the Ghost and Steel type combination, Dialga being a dragon and Steel type, and Empoleon being a water and Steel. So like, even like Metagross being Psychic and Steel. So like I've Bisharp is another one of my favorites. I love Bisharp. He's my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon. So yeah, I mean, Steel is definitely in my top three. It's S for me. But I also can see why it can be lower a little bit. But even like Gen 1 too, like Cypher evolving his evolution, like that was such a big thing at that time. Like Steel has always found a way to stay relevant and to like stay like and like the state always like be in your mind, you know. So that's just for me. I would put Steel at S, maybe, and I can negotiate to A, but that's for me.
All right. How do you feel, Aaron?
Okay, so Steel's also one of my favorite. It's top three for me. But that's a recent feeling. I did not really care for Steel as a type for a long time, but I really love Steel type. I mentioned in the beginning that Steelix is one of my favorite Pokemon. Empoleon, love Empoleon, Jirachi, Mawile, Metagross, Brozong. Like all of these are really solid Pokemon. I think Steel starts to teeter off on the bad end, Gen 7 after. But like the Ice Sandshrew and after that, like I don't really care about any of those Pokemon. But ignoring those, I think that Steel is really solid. And I would put it in like A or S. Feeling more A than S, but I'd be fine with that.
How are you, Jake?
Thank you for letting me go last on this one. Because Steel, as I said earlier with Fairy, I love when types are introduced. The Pokemon Company introduces types. I think Metagross is the best designed non-legendary Pokemon. I think Metagross and its Mega Form. Also, Metagross is the super boss, the hidden super boss of Pokemon Emerald. When you fight Steven, that's his big Pokemon is Metagross. I think Steel has one of the most unique and intricate designs. The legendaries with Genesect being interesting enough of the lore of a Kabutops repurposed into this fighting machine. Solgaleo being your traveling companion and you don't know it. Dialga being literally Dialga. Registeel's okay. And the Ultra Beast, I don't really necessarily see as legendaries, but that's a debate for another time. You got Magearna, who is another traveling companion in the anime. And then you have Meltan, who's literally introduced in Pokemon Go. You have Jirachi, who's got a movie. You have Empoleon, who's iconic. Mega Mawile, who changed VGC's battling. I believe it had to be put. It took a Pokemon who's been sitting on the bench for 10 years to Ubers. And then you got Lucario. not only do I think Steel is S tier, Steel is my number one.
Wow.
See, I agree with you guys. This is definitely a high one. I think this is the best. This does everything that rock and ground should do, but like at the highest capacity, in my opinion. I think the designs are really cool. These are like all the assassin type, like they all look like threats. Like I would be like sweating if I see all of them. Specifically, I'm best bug type in my opinion. Scizor. I love Scizor. I think Scizor is so cool. But yeah, I mean. You guys basically said everything that needed to be said. Honestly, I don't really have much to add after that. In terms of ranking, so Jake S, Josh said S, Aaron said S. I mean A, but more so S. I'm more so with Aaron. I'm more with the A and S, but that doesn't stop. Two S's makes it S at least. So it's gonna go like smack dab in the middle. Right about here. But cool. Lastly, Josh, how do you feel about the last of the main three, water?
Well, I was gonna say for you, Isaiah, how do you feel about water? I know you haven't gone first yet. Yeah, how do you feel about water?
How do I feel about water? Let me get all the Pokemon on the screen. So water, in my opinion, just like fire and grass, I think that it's an interesting one. This one, it's no pun intended, flooded. It has a lot of Pokemon over here, but I mean, I feel like just like the fire type I was speaking about earlier, I always feel the need to grab a water type because they are very important, and they do a lot of attack and a lot of damage. They could be the support type, they could be the attacker, they could be the tank. They have a lot of range, honestly, depending on who you're picking. And the designs are always fun. They always pick like fish type or like some kind of like beach related thing. Like I think it's cool to see. They have a lot of mixtures in between with like ice like, here and there. Some have poison. Some have normal. There's a lot of different mixtures when it comes to the water types, and the designs are fun. So it's like I always catch a water type, which is obviously is going to be effective. I think everyone almost catches like a water or fire type at least. And naturally, just looking at them, I mean, it's going to be at least an A at a minimum for me. They're fun, and they're always honestly looking at this too. They probably have the silliest designs out of all the types, but I can appreciate it. Like I love Politoad's look. I've always been like a Staryu fan because of Misty. I can appreciate water type, so I feel good about it. How about you, Josh? Now that you can pass it to you.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to hear your opinion. I honestly, I agree with you. It's at least an A for me. I mean, even if you want to talk about the new gen, like Gen 5, Ash's Greninja, probably one of the most, it's right up there, probably with his Charizard as one of the most iconic Pokemon in the series. And I'm still curious as to know how did he ever unlock that form? Because like obviously you can't get that in the game. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like I want a form, like I want Ash's Greninja. Like, come on. But obviously it started for me way back. I mean, Blastoise, I've always Gen 1, my starter's always been Squirtle. No disrespect to Charizard, no disrespect to Venusaur. Always going Squirtle. A turtle is like my favorite animal. I love the whole design of Blastoise. Even like the idea of him getting cannons and stuff. So my love for water Pokemon has been probably gone ever since like day one. Because I always chose Squirtle and stuff like that. But I agree with you, Isaiah. I have to put water. I mean, without water, you don't really have Pokemon either. So I mean, I'd probably put water wherever we put fire at. So probably high A. They're probably right next to each other, in my opinion.
All right. And also I forgot to say Suicune is an amazing Pokemon. I forgot to say that, slept on. Anyway, Jake, how do you feel?
I was just about to say Suicune. But I think water types are great. I mean, the biggest meme review of Pokemon Emerald was IGN saying there's too much water. And I think by the abundance of Pokemon you could see on the screen, yeah. The drawback of water types is there are so many of them. I believe there's more water types than any other types, that there's bound to be a few misses. Keldeo, I know most Pokemon, but that's one I just can't think of. Palpitoad, there's a few misses, but if you look at those and then you look at the great ones, like Politoed, the King, Wooper, freaking Puku Muku. Like, they're all these great Pokemon.
Shout out Psyduck.
Shout out Psyduck. I think water is really great, and I was gonna say A tier, but then I agree it should be right next to fire wherever that is, and I think that's S tier.
Awesome. Okay. So there you have it.
What about
We have our
Aaron?
list.
Ask me.
Did I not ask you?
No.
Aaron, give us your close us out, Aaron. What am I thinking? Go ahead, Aaron.
You can put an S tier though, because that's what it's gonna be. But I love water type. Yes, there's an abundance. But I enjoy the abundance because when I think about Pokemon types I want, water's always on my mind. And then every gen there's always like multiple options. And so then I get the excitement of deciding which water type do I want on my team. Usually when I'm like, I want an electric type Pokemon, there's like one or two options, and it's not really hard to choose which one. But water, there's like 6 options, 7 options, 8 options. So like I enjoy that excitement about water and its abundance. But there's also just a lot of really good water types that I really enjoy. Like I love Golduck. I use Psyduck and Golduck a lot. I absolutely love Pikumuku. Such a trolly Pokemon to me. I am all about it. I love Jellicent. I've already talked about, I already forget its name again. The water turtle, Tortega. Seismitoad. Rotom Wash is like top 5 for me. I love Rotom Wash. Mudkip is a classic. Carvana, I love them. I've recently grown to love Bibarel. Like I don't know, something something about it. Just its charm grew on me in Diamond, Brilliant Diamond. Just being able to like it doing everything, like all the HMs, Bidoof and Bibarel. I just thought that was really funny that the Pokemon Company decided to do that. Yeah, I really enjoy water Pokemon a lot. I think that it should go above fire. I think out of the 3, water, fire, and grass, I think water is the superior one of the 3. But yeah, I love water.
And there you go. All right, cool. So that was our tier list. It was like 2 hours, but I had fun doing this. So I did not care how long this went. So Psychic is king of the types here, and Ice is trash. So there you go. I'm sure I'll be posting this on Twitter and all that, but that is our tier list, and that was a fun time. Shake says based. All right, Shake. Anyway, anyone who's listening to this, thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out. If you listen to us now, or if you listen to this on our streaming platform, because I know Anime Club gives a lot of streams over on both of our pages, Sound Podcast and the Anime Podcast. So if you're listening, thank you for listening and hanging out with us. I had a very fun time with this one. Me and Josh been wanting to talk about Pokemon for a minute. We keep putting it off. We finally did it. So we can just start closing everything out. So Jake, thank you for coming. I had to get the Pokemon expert over here. I've known Jake for like years. We come from the same community. Jake, where can people find you?
Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Jake Goes Online. And that's pretty much it.
All right, Aaron, where can people find you?
You can find me at Buddy Boy though on every single platform: Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I don't got TikTok and anything like that. So if you're wondering if I'm on a platform, just type in Buddy Boy though. If I pop up, then obviously I'm there. If not, then I ain't there.
All right, Josh.
Yeah, you guys can check out my Twitter at SANN_CHEZZZ, 3 Z's. And you can check out my mental health podcast called Your Spiritual Best Friend. I talk about astrology, mental health, and all that fun stuff. So it's definitely a good conversation and stuff like that.
All right, and like usual, you can find me at 8Ball Bangers on all platforms. If you aren't already, please subscribe, Silent Podcast on all of our socials. We have everything linked into the description of this. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're at, it's going to be linked. So just go check it out. You can find me podcasting over here, podcasting on RHAP, doing Aux Court Approved, podcasting literally wherever. I'm all over the place. So you can find me over on those socials. But until next time, where I'm sure we will be talking about some anime. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stories. We will see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.